A guardian angel. This is a title that fits the mysterious stranger the best. A strange entity, described even as eldritch, that comes to your aid in times of need, descending on your foe like the host of heaven itself. Or, a randomly spawning ally whose presence depends on either your luck or the enemy's health, depending on which game you're playing. But all this makes you think, makes you ponder. What is he? He appears out of nowhere and eliminates whatever threatens us. Then, like he was never there at all, just disappears. Just like your dad in Fallout 3. So this episode, I'm going to try to shed some light on the mysterious stranger and his son. Like the universe is announcing his coming, he is always accompanied by his noir-like entrance theme. His exit is also followed with an equally noir-like theme. For many of us, this theme was the sign that we could relax, as whatever enemy lay before us would surely be vanquished before the awesome aim of the mysterious stranger. He looks like he came straight out of a 50s noir film. I find this strange, as you'd think a detective would want to look kind and welcoming, instead of shifty and suspicious. He wears his now iconic trench coat and hat, and carries a .44 Magnum revolver. His clothes can be obtained via console commands, however they do not offer any form of unique protection, beyond what is usually provided by basic clothing. He will only appear to aid you if you have the Mysterious Stranger perk. The description of said perk is as follows. Gives you your own personal guardian angel, armed with a fully loaded .44 Magnum. With this perk, the Mysterious Stranger appears occasionally in VATS mode to lend a hand, with deadly efficiency. So it does refer to him as a guardian angel, attributing otherworldly or supernatural properties to him as soon as you're introduced to the perk. Given that he appears from nowhere and eliminates any form of foe, this description has evidence to support it. The question is what inspired this mysterious individual. Was it only 50s noir films? Or is there something older that could be the source of inspiration? Well, yes, and I think I found out what it could be. The Mysterious Stranger. Not the title of the man we are taking a look at, the title of a book by Mark Twain, one of the most well-known American authors. The story follows Satan, an individual with supernatural abilities displaying his powers, and trying to show men the futility of their race. I want to point out here that Satan was not the Satan the devil, but an angel named after his uncle, the fallen Satan. Now, I know that Satan is not the name for the devil and all the rest of it, but I'm not opening that can of flesh any worms in this video. So we have a character called Satan, the Mysterious Stranger, who is in fact an angel. This lines up with the description of what the perk provides for us. But surely we can do better than that, right? Yes, we can. Because do you know what else he was called in another version of this story? Number 44. A mysterious stranger, an angel with supernatural powers that is also called number 44. A man called the Mysterious Stranger who can appear and disappear, vanquish any foe with a few bullets, and wields a .44 Magnum. You see where I'm going with this, right? Now why Mark Twain used 44 as a name is still debated to this day, but I think all these similarities point to this being somewhat of an inspiration, and if not, this is a scurry level coincidence. On the topic of his gun, the thing is ridiculous. It can only be obtained via console commands and it does 9,000 damage and does not degrade. This is a tool that the Mysterious Stranger wields and explains why any foe encountered by him is always destroyed. As long as he shoots them, doesn't spend his whole time reloading, doesn't walk off a cliff or decide today's the day when he sets aside his violent ways. Yet there's more than a few bugs present with this fellow, but most of them are either not too bad or pretty fucking hilarious. No one is perfect, and that's okay. Now onto the topic of his son, which in comparison to the theory above may not be as interesting or unique, but frig it, we'll do it anyway. By a Sunset Sarsaparilla sign near the Dorado Gas Service sits a solitary figure on a solitary stump. This is the Lonesome Drifter. He is 28 years old and sports a hat and a duster. A guitar is propped up on the stump and a .44 Magnum is strapped to his waist. The duster and hat may look familiar, but we'll come to that later. The guitar has many markings on it, both from wear and tear, and from use. People's names and symbols can be seen carved into it, which is a testament to how travelled it is, and how much it's been used. For now, we want to look at his dialogue, of which there are two paths. Both share similarities and end in the same result. Now for the first path.
Howdy there, partner. My story's a long one, friend, and I can't say as it's all that interesting. Well, I was born in a little town out Montana way. Me and Ma didn't have much, ever since my pa up and left. That he did. Never did know why. Ma always said he was a real mysterious fella, even when he was with her. Like he was a stranger sometimes. Maybe. Maybe I just never felt like I belonged back home. It sure wasn't easy. Ma worked her fingers to the bone to make sure we had enough to survive. And I worked the coal mines from when I was 15. After Ma died, I guess I wanted to find my pa and get some answers from him. Been out here looking ever since, but he ain't an easy man to find. Can't say as I really know. Maybe I'll just ask him why. Maybe I'll punch him right in the mouth. Hell, the more I talk about it, the more the whole damn thing sounds like a dumb idea. Maybe I should. Don't suppose you know any place a fella with a guitar might find a job, huh? Ah, well, it was worth a shot. Oh, this old thing? Why, thanks, friend. This here guitar is just about the only thing my daddy left me. Just about my whole life, ever since my daddy left Ma and me and went off to roam the wastes. Oh, this old thing? Why, thanks, friend. Long time ago now. I never even knew him. Ma always said he was a mysterious fella, always traveling on in secret. So long, friend.
So his dialogue tells us several things. First of all, he was born in Montana. Now, this gives us some notion of just how far this man may have travelled, as the distance between Montana and the Mojave is over 1,000 miles. He goes on to tell us that his father abandoned him. Now, even without all the other evidence on this guy, the next sentence essentially confirms it. His mother called his father a mysterious feller, and that he was like a stranger sometimes. Not really that subtle, but at least it's more or less confirms this theory. He also states that maybe he wonders because he never felt like he fit in. This becomes important later. His mother was the sole provider until he got work in a coal mine from the age of 15. She passed away and then he set out to find his father. Now we don't know at what age he set out, but given how long his mother raised him herself, and given the way the world is, it's unlikely she survived long after he began work, probably no more than a few years. He goes on to say that he is unsure what he will do if he finds his father, and bar a few lines in the other conversation path, he doesn't seem that angry. In fact, he comes off as someone who has dealt with the problem and moved on. After asking him to settle down, he becomes one of the individuals that you can recruit for the talent pool quest. This is where it gets interesting. But first, the second path.
I've heard that elite you... Howdy there, partner. My story's a long one, friend, and I can't... Well, I was born in a little town out... Maybe that's how you was raised, but where I come from, a man does right by his wife and child, or he ain't no kind of man at all. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but that don't change the fact that it wasn't right. I suppose there's that, but a man ought to know his own paw, and a woman oughtn't to have to work herself to an early grave to provide for her family. After Ma died, I guess I wanted to find my paw and get some answers from him. Been out here looking ever since, but he ain't an easy man to find. Maybe I will, or maybe I'll just ask him why he left. Hell, the more I talk about it, the more the whole damn thing sounds like a dumb idea. Maybe I should. Don't... So long, friend.
Firstly, it becomes apparent that he believes it's the duty of the father to take care of his family, and not abandon them for a life of poverty. This shows us that he seems to resent the fact that he was left a bit, and may blame his father for the death of his mother. But once again, he doesn't seem as bothered as one would think. However, his father at least cared enough to leave him the guitar and the gun. Now, while the guitar is not that significant, although the name Anne or Anna can kind of be made out in it, possibly the Lonesome Drifter's mother, the gun is very relevant. The gun is the Mysterious Magnum. Now that, and the fact that his father was described as mysterious and as a stranger, confirms the theory. Also, The gun plays the same tune when drawn and when holstered. This is the son of the mysterious stranger, and even his title seems in some way similar, as that is what he is known by. Not a name, a title. Now I want to talk about what he may be. What I mean by this is that he is clearly capable enough that he has travelled thousands of miles on his own, and he felt like he never belonged. What if this is because he was like his father, and that he was different from ordinary people? If you kill him, you can see that he wears a regulator duster and a sheriff's hat. Now, as we know, the regulators were a group of vigilantes that existed in the DC wasteland. They killed those who they deemed evil and sought to protect people in doing so. Now this means two things. One is that the Lonesome Drifter has been as far as DC in his journeys, which means he has travelled even further than we thought. Two is that he has a strong sense of justice. This is similar to the mysterious stranger, who acts as our protector. Perhaps he went to DC as the stranger, at one point, was with the Lone Wanderer, and has now come here to the Mojave as he is with us. The sheriff's hat he wears could mean that he served as one for a time, which gives further evidence that he was a good man who believed in justice and protecting others. Perhaps this means that he possesses some of the qualities of his guardian angel-like father. The gun is a strange object. The sounds are the same as those that the stranger makes when he appears, and they play if we or the Lonesome Drifter draw the gun. So they are real, and by that I mean we are not the only ones that the sound occurs with. This means the Magnum itself seems to have anomalous properties. It's also interesting that he left the guitar to his son as well. The tune that plays is a guitar tune, so perhaps it was a tune of the stranger's own creation, and using some of his previously discussed otherworldly power, he embedded it in the pistol he gave to his son. This would suggest that not only did he care about him, but knew that his son would share some of his qualities, and gave him some tools to aid him on his travels. One last small topic I want to touch on is his speculated presence in Fallout 4. We've all seen this clip and this picture. Now I want to point out a few things. The individual in this picture looks like a synth given the hand, and based on recent images for the game, synths will play a large role, so I think it's more likely that this is just a synth trying to hide themselves, and Bethesda only included it because they knew what conclusions people would come to. The world of Fallout holds many stories, lore, theories, and tales, but this individual is one shrouded in mystery unlike any other. Our guardian angel, who will make sure that mole rat is super dead, but is mysteriously absent whenever a super mutant behemoth or Deathclaw shows up. Inspired by 50s noir and, as we discussed, possibly Mark Twain, this otherworldly individual will go down in the history of Fallout as the most mysterious and helpful bastard ever, as will his son, the Lonesome Drifter. Many people like to argue that he is just meant to be a joke character, and is not really his son, but given the disposition towards helping people, description of his father, and not subtly at all named gun, I would say that this is canon. He also helped shed some light on the stranger, as a bit of a shithead who abandoned his family, and yet left a young boy to fend for himself and become his own man. What his motives were, we may never know. After all, he was known to be mysterious. Two of the most interesting related characters that can be found within the Fallout universe. If you enjoy my look into them and want to see more of my content, check out my playlist to see if there are any more questions on Fallout that you have, and I may have answered. Any support in spreading the word of this channel is greatly appreciated, as Fallout 4 is just around the corner. If you want to support me and get regular updates, subscribe. Any suggestions or feedback for the episode should be left either in the comments below or on my subreddit, which is linked in the description. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook to get regular channel updates and to talk to me or have a wee chat. If you want to get in contact with me regarding business, message me here on YouTube or on my Twitter, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you did enjoy this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.